We're going again with my friend Scott Hogarth.
Yeah, man.
Awesome, brother.
Scotty, thank you so much for coming down here. I know it's a hassle. Love that you're here.
No hassle. No hassle. And like I said, friend is what it's all about. It's always been about. I felt like you were my brother from day one, so there you go. We met each other, I don't know how many years ago.
Long time.
I guess a tournament or something,
Yeah,
or I went to
without a doubt.
Ron's or something. But
I'm getting goosebumps. No tears though.
it was
no tears on the podcast.
It was so spectacular. Truly. You get to know people and their heart and what they're about, and I've always liked his heart and what he's always about, and then having the opportunity to work with him as a stunt coordinator and looking after me and stuff like that. I watched him look after people. Things like that are really
He's that guy.
Things like that are really important.
Okay, well, we can end this now.
People don't get that, right?
That's so funny.
I agree. He's a bit of an anomaly.
I don't
he sure
know
is.
if you're aware of it, but Scotty and I were talking just a few minutes ago about a Gushers commercial that he did. If you look up on YouTube.
With the fruit head thing.
Yeah,
I remember you telling me that.
Fruit Gushers Karate.
It was so good. It was so good. I was in a meeting with the director. I was actually at the casting session, and the director says, "So what are the chances you have, this, like a big guy with a, that long quintessential martial arts beard who could go, oh, no." I said, "I got the guy." And I phoned Scott, and he was at the dojo, and he literally hopped in his car and drove downtown to the casting session wearing his gi because he was teaching.
Oh, my God.
Came in and did it. He did the whole thing, and the director just beamed.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
it was
that's
great.
awesome.
It was a good session. It was a lot of fun, too. I think it was Sonny Tang that did some of the spectacular stunts and stuff like that.
Sonny
The
Tang
acrobatics.
sounds like one of the Gusher flavors. That's what that sounds like.
Oh, he was a good martial artist, man.
Yes,
I'll tell you. Very good. It was a great time.
Right on, man.
I enjoyed it. And any other time, we've done fight scenes together, and
100%.
we've done all kinds of things, and it's always been good. I've never had a bad experience on set, except maybe, well, no, you can't speak bad about the dead, so I'll just be quiet.
Well, I'm interested in this.
David Carradine.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, you had a bad experience on Kung Fu?
Oh yeah, I was coordinating the fight scenes on Kung Fu on the movie, and I taught him to do something, and he stepped on the lead actor's throat and put him out of commission for 2 days and knocked down production for 2 days. And you know how much the producers like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
It's not good.
And that was because in slight impairment, I would think.
Right. Right.
Wow.
I don't like to speak ill of the dead, so neither will I. But I did a whole bunch of those episodes. I doubled the son on the show, and I've actually had to hold David up between takes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But I love him. I had such fun with him. I really did. I was once a young boy, who would put on his gi, order Chinese food. We had it down to a science. They would bring the food. We'd kneel down, eat in front of Kung Fu.
Yes.
So to grow up and become a full-grown man, and I get to work 4 years with David Carradine on that show, is a blast.
Grasshopper, you have grown.
Yeah.
He's a legend, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
you know.
Absolutely. And I guess anybody can get bit by what's nasty, right? So
Right.
Yeah, man.
You can't.
We don't
lay it
know
on
what
him.
he went through. We don't know
No.
what he's,
You can never put yourself in judgment because it happens to everybody. It just was unfortunate that day, right? On the other hand, the nicest person I think I've ever met as a big actor was Richard Mall.
Richard Mall.
Richard Mall. Oh, Richard Mall.
From Night Court.
Night Court, man.
Oh, I don't know.
Tall, bald-headed fella.
We did the movie, and he did the thing where I stacked the things, and he's got the guy in his hands, and he's holding them up, and it looks like he's holding them in midair. It was spectacular. It was spectacular. But I ate my lunch and dinner and sat and talked to that man almost exclusively. What a brilliant guy.
Cool.
And a lot of fun.
That's cool.
A lot of fun. He was always laughing. He always had something good to say. Never was nasty. Treated everybody right.
He looks like a funny guy.
Yeah, He was humorous.
It's awesome.
Yeah, anytime you could sit and talk, it was great. But you opened that door for me.
Well,
You know, you did. Between you and Jalal, right? I mean,
right. Like I said on an earlier podcast, I can get you in the door, but you have to have the moxie to stay in that room. If you don't have that, then that I can't do any more.
No.
You obviously had way more, and,
Oh, yeah.
and you stayed in that room.
I did. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, for sure.
Very
right,
cool.
Right down to doing different commercials and different things.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was a good period in my time, but I didn't rely on it as my financial being. So
Well, you've got a very successful martial arts club.
yeah, well, that's where I put most of my energy too. And right now, my wife's doing most of it. Yeah, she's done some pretty spectacular things in her career. I remember going to the States, and she entered in a non-handicap division, and she has RSD. So she has restrictive nerve energy to her hip. And she went down there, and it was a big tournament. Bill Wallace was there. I can't remember who else was there. There was all kinds, because we went out to dinner with Bill. And she went out and performed, and she beat everybody in her division, 45 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and she beat them all, and the guys and girls brown belts.
Fabulous.
It was fabulous.
And martial arts really turned her life around.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it did. It did. When I first met Tammy, I was working in a bar. Nudge, you know.
All you guys worked in bars.
Funny how that worked. So I'm working in the bar, and one of my guys comes up to me, and he says, I got this girl you got to meet. He says, she's really nice. Her name's Tammy. And I said, okay, let's bring her in. So the next night I'm out there working, and I see this girl kind of leaning up against the bar, moving and dancing, and I walk over, and it's Tammy. So I went, oh, this is very cool. I'm enjoying this. Let's dance. So I kind of noticed when I was dancing with her, she was a little bit, unbalanced a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next day I picked her up, and here she came out, and she's on 2 steel crutches.
Yeah.
And she was told she'd never get any better. She would always be on those crutches. So the first day, on our first date, I took her out just into Cambridge, actually, to the Western store and bought her a pair of cowboy boots. That was our first date, and then we went to lunch at the Mohawk. Right?
She's like, oh man, this is who I have to be now.
And it just snowballed after that. We just got along, and she didn't train for about 4 years, and then she got the bug. And
Okay, so she was there watching and hanging out and learning from you a little bit.
Yeah,
and then said,
yeah, I didn't marry one of my students.
She had to keep up at home.
I imagine too that it frightened her, or something, or she was apprehensive given her state.
To a certain extent, she was, and I handed her over to Sandy Graham, and at the time her name was Sandy Graham. It's now Sandy Spencer. Wonderful lady, great martial artist. She took Tammy and worked with her, and I went home with Tammy at night and listened to, oh, I can't do this. I'm so sorry. It hurts so much. And I go, suck it up, Buttercup. If you want to train in martial arts, you're not going to get that sympathy in from me. It's not happening. So it's going to work every day, and you're going to work every day, and this is going to happen. Well, she did, and she hasn't stopped since, right?
Yeah, and she's a killer.
Last time in Okinawa, she graded to her 5th dan. Sensei graded her in Sanchin, and it was the only thing that she had trouble doing was grabbing the ground evenly with the RSD and locking in, and she did. And I went, yes! Ha! I love it.
Fucking A, man.
And she made it, and she has never looked back. She threw away the canes, the crutches. Wow. I've got a stack of canes. Literally a stack of canes that she picked from. She doesn't use anymore. They just sit there.
Oh my God.
And just so everyone at home knows, you have canes because of Hapkido. Not necessarily.
Yeah. I have canes because of Hapkido and because I have 2 steel hips. Okay. But I had to walk with her, right? But yeah, she's done amazingly well, and
incredible, man.
She gives her energy to the kids. We haven't had any children, she and I, and her kids are karate kids. And our dojo is run like a family. There is no question. Once a black belt gets a black belt, he's my little brother. He's not just a black belt, not just a guy on the street. He's a member of my family, right? So it's really important stuff.
Love
nice.
it.
That's nice.
That is an important thing, eh?
Oh, yeah.
In a school like yours, that is extremely important. I imagine all that.
And your
is-
club's named is
Fighting Griffin Martial Arts.
in Milton, Ontario.
It is. And we teach more of an Okinawan style of martial arts than Japanese style of martial arts. Although I've trained and hold black belts in both. The Okinawan style is more personal and is more attention to detail of mistakes, not just keeping constant graph. It's more about thinking why you're doing something and why you're participating like that, what it is that you're doing. And so they call it bunkai, and bunkai is not a good word. It's purpose. The purpose of kata in Okinawan arts for me was more internal energy and strength and learning how to just plain and simply move well. So it, as far as I was concerned, it was better and it was more personal. It was one-on-one, me and my instructor, Toyama Zenshu. It was one-on-one. Where the karate was, the sensei stood at the front, the Japanese karate stood at the front and dictated what you did, and you did it all class. And there wasn't as much attention to you and to the detail of what you were doing. So it's a little different
Interesting.
in understanding. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know firsthand that I explain what it is you're doing with that weapon, right? Or
Big
whatever.
time, man. Big time. You're deep, though. You're a certain type of deep. I imagine that your style of teaching and education is a bit of a lost art.
I hate to say that, but you're kind of right. A lot of people have gone for the big buck and lots of money, and
Yeah.
some of it has been lost, right? Some of that personal energy to it has been lost, and that's just too bad.
Yeah.
I look back 30 years at Ron Day and some of the great martial artists that have now passed away, and some of them that are still here, that are still working, like Sensei Guest. He's a phenomenon. He and Sensei Toyama, although Sensei Guest taught Japanese art and Toyama Sensei taught Okinawan art, they got along like a house on fire, because Sensei Guest's understanding of martial arts is more Okinawan understanding than Japanese. He really teaches you what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. So there's a real deep thought and a lot of years put into understanding what they do. And then
that comes from
imparting
someone who has passion for what they do.
Well, yeah, it takes over, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to be careful sometimes because you can get too focused. I have another life. I do other things, right? So it's not just martial arts, but
Right.
it could easily be.
Yeah.
It does hold your focus, right?
Well, I mean, there's so many guys that have all kinds of dojos, under their name, 10s, 15s, 20s.
I was just gonna mention that, saying like when you started, how many dojos were in town?
Ooh.
Think about it.
I started in 1973 on East Hastings Street in Vancouver, British Columbia. Isao Yabanako was my instructor, and he now teaches out of Waterloo. It always kills me when somebody says, "Oh yeah, I learned blah blah blah," and I go, "What's your instructor's name?" "Oh, I can't remember." I'm like, "Huh? What do you mean you can't remember?"
Yeah, bring that in.
He was your first influence. He was the first person to influence you, and you don't remember his name.
Right.
There's something wrong there, right?
Yeah.
Isao Yabanaka-san was an amazing instructor, a great sensei, and he started me on my road. And then I went to Monty Guest Sensei, and then to Toyama Zenshu. And along the way, I've trained with a lot of really good people, Billy Blanks and people
Sure.
like that, Don Jacob.
But my point was that when you started, there was one and maybe two.
Oh,
That's what I mean.
one Japanese, one Okinawa, and maybe one Chinese dojo in all of Vancouver. I mean, it was, there wasn't
and
a
then
lot going on.
now they're on every corner.
Yes.
So things get watered down.
Yes. And that here a little more so because they're watering it down because they want to make money.
Yeah, it's become a business.
They want it to become a business. That's first in their mind. And teaching martial arts, you deserve to make a living, but your mind shouldn't be on how much am I making off of this student. I never deal with business and students. Tammy deals with all the business because I don't ever want to look at somebody and go, oh, Jesus, you owe me last month's dues.
Right.
That's
Energy should be equal all the way through.
all the way through. What you give should be a balance, and they should understand that. So, yeah, it is one of those things. But my first dojo, it was quite the dojo. I drew the Goju fist on it was a Japanese Goju, and I drew the Goju fist on the big window on East Hastings Street, and that was in 1973. So that's when I started.
I know what it looks like. Other people can look it up. So you've been at your club now 35 years?
I've been at my club, as Fighting Griffin Martial Arts, easy 35 years.
Okay.
I'm 50 years in martial arts, 73, 2003, 23. I'll be 50 years myself in martial arts.
Now you're 11 times world champion.
Well, they'd say 12 now.
Oh, that's good. That's
good.
good.
This cracks me up. I had 12 lucky days and,
awesome.
and 2 minutes at a time. So a total of 24 minutes, and I won 12 world titles. So it is what it is. I don't think about that too much. I try not to. It is. It's good for advertising, I guess.
It's good for advertising, but it's also that you've
you don't have one of these shirts? Your name on it? 12 times? Why don't... What are you doing, Scott?
I love that.
You're holding back, man.
Oh, that's crazy.
Have some confidence, Scott. Come on. Fuck.
Well, I teach my students that when Muhammad Ali was alive, nobody could say, I am the greatest. Nobody could say that because it was Ali saying, I am the greatest. And you kind of had to nod and say, you're damn right you are.
Yeah, totally.
He was my hero as a child, right? He was my boxing hero. Okay. I used to watch him move and think, he can stand there for 2 minutes and not let anybody touch him in a ring. How does that happen? He was amazing, but he was the man, right? Muhammad Ali. And he said, I am the greatest. Well, you know what? I gave it away to all my students. I said, now that he's gone, you all can say this. Put your hand up in the air and go, I am the greatest. And they did, man. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
I mean, why not?
Absolutely.
Totally.
You should think of yourself as being at least as good as anybody else. And if you don't, you're wrong, because you are.
Well,
I love that.
What people don't realize is that someone like Muhammad Ali, it started as a baby, like we all did, and they're just humans, and we all have exceptional inside of us. We just have to find it, get it, grow it.
Every human being in the world has something special. And my period on the ambulances taught me that. It's a very different energy, a very different part of life to see people at the very worst. But everybody has something special. I remember picking up Mr. Kitchen's son, who was badly set back in his development. I don't like to use terms,
right?
I'm with you,
because I think that any human being can't be limited by a doctor's suggestion. If that was the case, Tammy would still be on 2 crutches.
Yeah, correct. Man, there's a lot of people defining
right, and a lot of people I know wouldn't even be walking, but they are. So
totally.
So this became a real big thing for me, was to realize that everybody has their value. And Mr. Kitchen's son, although seizured a number of times, we picked him up, we took him there. Mr. Kitchen, by the way, was the head of the ambulance dispatch. He was the boss there, but he also had a child that needed help, and we were the crew that took him. He couldn't stop talking about us because we had a good time with his kid, right? And at the end, the kid looks up at me and couldn't speak very well, but he goes, "I love you."
Oh.
And I went, as I walked out, and I realized everybody has something special. That kid just made me feel incredible.
Yeah. Did I mention no crying on the podcast?
It's the tough one. Yeah, you did. But yeah, stuff like that makes you realize, hey, wait a minute. This person is really special.
Yeah.
And so's everybody else. Just give them a moment. Give them time, right? Unless they, go out and perform to be an absolute dick, which a lot of people can be.
Yeah.
Give them a moment. See why they're special. Invest some time if you think that person's worth it. I know Randy's invested a lot of time in some people to get them to do some of the things that you get them to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you see, like I see rough diamonds. When I see some people are really rough around the collar and rough around the ears, but they're diamonds. They're real people with real energy, and there's something about them that makes them special. And it's a good observation to understand that exists for everybody. Nobody is without being special. Some people just can't see it.
I love it, man.
Right.
Just listening to you speak just goes to show what it's like to be at your dojo, doing things with you and your clan,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
There's a lot of
anyway.
students that are really lucky to have that.
Yeah, man. Big time.
It's a lot of fun. Watching kids grow, watching them develop. I mean, we get them when they're like 3.5, 4 years old. They're still with us 15 years later. And they're the top senpais in the dojo. And they're teaching and out there and helping other kids and seeing them hold a little kid's hand. And,
For the benefit of anyone listening, what's a senpai?
Senpai is number one son, basically, is what it's called. So the senpai is the closest person to the teacher. So even though my wife is Renshi and about to be Kiyoshi, she is also my senpai.
Okay.
She is the one and
Next in line.
and probably soon to be my dai senpai, the person that will take over for me.
Now, can you just explain everything you just said?
Senpai simply means number one son. This is the person I would turn things over to. So we have senpais and we have o-senpais, which are the major brown belts and that are getting ready for black belt. Nobody in my school is called sensei until they've earned it. Sensei comes at third degree, not at first degree. You don't walk into a club and put on a black belt and get called sensei. Sensei is an incredible term. It means the person who has gone before. So this is about someone who has given his life to do what we do. So therefore, you don't just give the term away lightly. You don't just call somebody sensei. And Sensei Guest told me that probably 30 years ago when I was on my crusade to be better, stronger, tougher fighter, bigger, tougher, greater. And I went to England to train with some of the guys in England, and he gave me a black belt to go there and train. So I was a brown belt at the time. I was a senpai. He gave me a black belt. So I went there and immediately got into a Cheateroo club and immediately punched out the number 2 guy in England.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I had a great time.
That's funny.
Nice. Yeah.
I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. He was a good guy. The club was in Chertsey, a little community south of London, and I had a ball.
Man, cool.
And you went to Japan?
Oh, been to Japan many times. Japan is my second home.
Always for the same reason, or why?
The last time I went was the best reason.
Okay.
The last time I went, which is probably time 12 or something that I've gone, I was able to take Sensei Guest with me due to a good friend. Paul did a great job taking us and getting us to go. And unfortunately, he got ill. A guy named Paul Hogarth got ill, and he couldn't come. So he sent Sensei and I together along to Japan to experience Japan. Sensei's never been there. So I was the guide, and we had a ball, and we went first class and
Okay.
kicked ass for about 10 days. It was great. We saw Kyoto and Tokyo and several communities along the way and all kinds of spiritual places. But the very best was introducing him, my first sensei to black belt, to my second sensei, to Toyama sensei, and introducing the two of them. That was an incredible moment for me. Having them sit and talk, I'm both up on the roof of the dojo overlooking Awase, which was, by the way, the first beach that was hit by the U.S. when they embattled Okinawa. So
wow.
if you know anything about it, that's where they were. They're standing on top of the building, talking away with each other. Sensei Guest speaks very little Japanese, and Sensei Toyama speaks very little English. But they talked for over an hour and came down laughing and smiling, and it was one of the neatest moments in my life.
Neat.
To bring my worlds together. Some people find it that's scary for them, so they keep their worlds apart. They don't want their senseis to meet each other because I don't know, something bad might happen or something. I don't know.
They might talk about you.
They talk about you. I never get the gist, but I've always had that same energy, and that was the most wonderful moment.
That's somebody who you were just talking about, is somebody who doesn't feel too comfortable in their own skin.
That's right. They're not confident.
Yeah, they're not confident enough. And that's, yeah, fuck. Listening to you talk is a
what do you
thing.
train for? What do you train? What does a human being train in martial arts for? Does he train so he can beat the snot out of the next guy? Is that why he trains?
That's what I thought.
That's not. That's not why he trains. He trains so he's on an even keel with every human being. I can look square in the eye of anybody, and I don't care if it's the Pope himself. I have a few beefs with him, so.
You could punch him out, I know.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things,
probably,
right?
Eh?
But it, and I say that, and the reason I say that is because they took an amazing life and used it for their own purposes.
Right.
And that whole thing bothers me, because if you know anything about the truth is that, Jesus of Nazareth never taught inside a church. Right? He taught on mountaintops, on ships, on places, and he taught people to be fishers of men. Well, what does that mean? That means to set the example.
Right.
That means to step out of your skin and set the example and stay there. Become an integral person. Become a moral person. And people will follow you. People will follow that energy. So right from the start, man named God gave him a name. Well, to me, it's the Great Spirit.
Big time.
It's the Creator. It's not somebody's terminology. It is what it is. He is the Creator. He is the Great Spirit. You don't need to say, oh, that's my God. I labeled it. Give it to me. That's junk. Right? I don't think that way. I see nature as being my church. I see going out with my dogs and listening to the birds and whistling down the red tails and having a ball outside, and that's my spiritual realm. That's where I feel strong. And whether I'm in Okinawa standing on a castle wall, or in Mexico, or in Guatemala, or anywhere, Trinidad, walking down the main street with Don Jacob, having doubles and oysters and drinking coconut out of coconuts. That's spiritual for me. That's enlightenment for me.
Totally, man.
You know, what people have done to the story of Jesus and stuff is insane. You know, well, I can control everything and I can make a hell of a lot of money here.
That's exactly what it is.
Big time.
Right? Well, you can live in your gold palace and you can do all your things, but if we look at the real energy of what religion should be, it should be what we give to each other. And that's just plain and simply love. If you give it, you get it.
Well, you've always given it.
I try.
I know. I've known you a long time, man. I know that.
Yeah. Life is like that. It just keeps moving.
Yeah. Wow. I love listening to you talk. You know, I got to say, though, it's not a far reach from the way he talks.
No, I've always known that we've been close to understanding that way.
Yeah, there's a reason for this.
There's a spiritual bond between us. We both see First Nations as being first. We weren't first. A lot of people think we were first. Hey, we weren't. Check yourself. Okay. First Nations and the worship of the Great Spirit was long before what we decided to do as religious purpose ever happened. So if we get back to that, then we're all part of the same pool, right? And we're all going to go to the head of the river of life, and we're all going to camp out there at some time and lodge with each other and laugh and joke and tell stories. You know, it may be 10 years or 20 years or 30 years from now, but who knows? We'll be there. That's all I care about. That's all I see. The rest is people's endeavor to make money and to be a thing.
Yeah.
An importance.
I'm speechless.
Fuck. Yeah, me too.
All I know is that if anyone's watching this on YouTube right now, I'm really trying.
This takes a great deal of taking care of, and it does get to a point where it's too long. I'll demonstrate. When this gets too long and I'm sleeping and it gets caught underneath my armpit and I yank it, holy crap, it feels like somebody's tugging me and dragging me down the street.
That's hilarious. Well, I endeavor to get my beard caught in my armpit.
Yeah. Yeah, mine starts at the bottom of my ass and goes down to the back of my knee. I get it caught.
Well, we won't put that on camera.
I will just leave that alone.
You don't want to see it? Okay.
What are you talking about?
That'll be separate. I'll do a separate video.
That's good.
No, it's a killer beard, man.
How long were you a paramedic for?
About 5 years total.
And is that in the Halton region?
Yeah, in Metro.
Metro?
I was a Metro. I wasn't a paramedic. I was an EMT.
Okay.
I took the paramedical program, and could have been easily because I graduated straight fours. I found that when I wanted to do something, I could apply everything I had to it, and marks were never a problem. Graduation was never a problem. I had a study group that I took 12 guys that had been on the ambulances for a while and had passed the basic, St. John's ambulance program. But when we went to this, we had to learn anatomy, physiology, electrolytes, bioscience, you name it, we had to learn it. And it was tough for some of the guys, right? So I used to have every day, at my house on 427 highway, my mom's house, we used to have a little session. So there was 12 of us, and we got them all through their paramedical training, and they still maintained their ambulance positions. So
No, that's cool.
yeah, well, we were told if we didn't graduate, you'd lose your job, or you'd end up just being a driver.
Right.
So, and that's not why you're an ambulance man. You're an ambulance man to help people.
Absolutely.
It's not for running red lights.
No.
Okay.
No. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a story, and I had the guys dying the other day about this one. I was coming down 427 highway on a call, and south of is it Belfield there? And I'm coming flying down the highway, and I got rear-ended.
Whoa.
I was doing $130.
Oh my.
And I got rear-ended. I pulled the guy over, made him park his car, and said, "Don't you move." And I kept going to the scene, came back. By the time I came back, we got the guy to the Queensway. I came back, got to the thing. The cop had the guy in the station.
Oh, wow.
Exactly how did you run into the rear end of the ambulance? He asked me if I put on my brakes. I said, no, I was going. I wasn't braking.
Jesus,
That's
man.
crazy.
He was the one breaking the law.
Well, a lot of people will do that. A lot of people try and get downtown, follow the ambulance, right? So
Well, that's,
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
I never even thought of it that way.
So he was trying to get downtown,
ideas.
follow the ambulance. And he was a little too close.
Yeah, no doubt. Jesus.
Wow. And then you were a firefighter as well?
Yeah, I was a firefighter in England. Yeah, I was firefighter first. I went to England and with the thoughts of getting a job, I didn't know what. I looked in the paper and the only job in the paper was firefighter. You had to go to this place called Reigate and do your tests and that kind of stuff. So I went and did my math test and my English test, which were really easy. And they were shocked because I was finished in about 10 minutes and handed them the paper and said, "Yeah, that's right, you can do it." The guy looked at it and he goes, "Huh." So I was one of the 60 guys out of 300 that were chosen to be a firefighter in Staines in Middlesex.
Cool.
So I went through the live-in 3-month training and did all that there. Trained in martial arts as well while I was there. Had a great time. And then my mom and dad came for a visit, and my dad took ill and had a heart attack in England, and I thought
Wow. Jeez.
I would like to spend the rest of his time with him. So I re-immigrated to Canada and came home. And that's when I became a paramedic or an ambulance attendant.
Okay. And obviously you were training in martial arts throughout all of this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where were you born?
I was born at Toronto General Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
What got you over to BC?
I was a kid who just watched Billy Jack.
Right. Now I've not seen Billy Jack, but I know the obsession with Billy Jack through my dad. I'm a little ashamed I haven't seen it yet.
Well,
Just because he is so into the movie.
the first movie you got to see, that's kind of sets up Billy Jack, who he is. That's Born Losers, I think, wasn't it called?
Yeah, but it doesn't really.
It's not. The Billy Jack movie is by far better.
The Born Loser sets up his attitude
Yeah,
that he's willing to protect.
yeah,
What's
he's willing to go.
What's that?
It's a movie. It's a biker movie. It's a Billy Jack movie where he confronts a motorcycle gang who's after this one girl. And so it sets up Billy Jack's
Protective
his
nature.
protective nature, absolutely,
Yeah.
and that he does martial arts, Hapkido, Korean karate to do this.
Okay.
But it doesn't set up the native community at all, does it?
No, not really.
So the actual Billy Jack movie that was released is
Yeah.
that's for me the epitome of the Billy Jack.
Yeah, and he did it
series.
with his wife. That's actually his wife that he did it
Yeah.
with. So it was quite the movie of the time, and some of the things he did, I could see myself doing, like the trip with a vet and making him drive it into the. I wouldn't have had a problem.
Totally, I think I've done stuff like that.
I have.
There was no vet involved, but something similar.
Similar, yes. I have myself. It's
See, that's where the attraction came in.
yeah,
I mean, I love native art,
yeah. Me too.
love horses, motorcycles, martial arts. I
Yeah.
love all that stuff. Loved his hat. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
2 months ago, my daughter made me a hatband. It's right there.
You didn't get to see his underwear, but I bet you like it too.
Well, it maybe.
As far as I know, I'm the only white dude in Ontario. I should say white dude. I shouldn't say that. I'm the only non-First Nations that I know who carries a eagle staff in the grand session of the powwow. And I've been doing that now for 12, 13 years since my buddy passed away. He was my best friend, so that's how I remember. We went to powwow together, had a great time. He said it was the most spiritual thing he'd ever done. He'd been to synagogue, he'd been to church, and never once had his spirit lifted by anything.
Wow.
until they went to powwow, right?
Can you explain why? What, like, I don't really know this either.
It's you get together and you just celebrate each other. You celebrate being. You celebrate life. You celebrate the nature and existence, right? I had lost 4 friends, and I have tattoos with their initials on them. All right, eagle feathers.
All native feathers.
And that's eagle feathers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like this.
My children.
yeah, same here.
This is my children. 3 feathers.
Yeah, well, there you go. The eagle feathers are for all my friends who passed, and I actually have their initials right in the feathers. But when he died, I took his walking staff and turned it into an eagle staff. And then I got permission from Jim from the East Coast to use First Nations number so I could put eagle feathers on my staff. And I've been carrying it ever since. And I took it up the first year, and I expected to give it to a First Nations, young warrior to carry. And the chief said, "Did you make this?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Did you have any help?" And I said, "No." And he said, "You carrying it." Just like that.
Wow.
It's a nice honor.
Yeah. So I've been carrying it ever since, and I've had my son up, and he's carried it, and some of my friends have carried it. And every year when somebody passes away from cancer, because the staff is to represent cancer, I carry it for that. Every year when somebody passes from cancer, I add another feather or I add something personal of theirs to the staff to celebrate their life.
Unbelievable.
It gives me a day of joy.
Yeah,
I want
of
to
course.
see
It's
it.
awesome.
I want to see the staff.
Yeah. Oh, it's a beautiful staff. I have pictures of it. I just didn't bring my stuff with me, so
Yeah.
I can easily give it to you, show you.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's very
Chief
cool.
Chief Shining Turtle and I get along very well, and he's from Whitefish River First Nations. So he's the chief there. So we get along pretty good.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah, neat guy. So you and I maybe one
That's
of these
very
days
cool.
we'll go to powwow together.
Yeah, let's do it up.
You would love it.
I used to do this Wild West show, and I was dressed as a cowboy, got chaps on, a 6-gun and a cowboy hat. And this native fella, this indigenous fella, would bring his family to watch. And then once this huge powwow happened at the CNE, his son was getting his first eagle feather. I think he was 5.
Awesome.
And they were going to dance that evening, present the eagle feather to the little boy, and then dance around the fire. Well, he asked, he could dance with one older person that he chose,
Yeah.
and he chose me. So I'm getting choked up.
Awesome.
So so I actually went with all my cowboy regalia on and danced with this little boy around the fire in front of thousands of people.
I'm going to send you some pictures because I've danced with the chief's son in his full regalia.
Well, good.
And I was there and danced and done my thing around the thing. It was
Does
great.
anyone dance with the chief's daughter? Or what's going on?
It's a different world.
It's a different world. And
remember-
dancing's not quite what you think.
Do you remember Jimmy Flatt?
I do.
Okay, so God bless him. Loved him to death.
Yeah.
That's his rig over my shoulder, his fast draw rig.
Jimmy, wow.
Yeah, he ran into the father that had brought the little boy to the Wild West show. Now, this is like years and years later, and that little boy now is fully grown, and he was with his dad, and he said to Jimmy, he says, "How's my cowboy?"
Awesome. Jim was an amazing guy. Do you know that Jim Flett, I don't know whether you introduced me to him or not. You were doing the night stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, we were doing that stuff,
jousting
yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And he had the white steed.
Yeah.
And my first black belt in my school is Dave Janot. And Dave Janot is Kyoshi, 6th degree black belt, soon to be 7th dan. He should have been a while back. When he asked his wife to marry him, he borrowed Jim Flett's white mare
Right on.
and his suit of armor and the whole thing. And Jim came to the door and unrolled a scroll. Hear ye! This is about the wedding proposed by this. Do you agree, Lord? And he's talking to
So knight in shining armor come to.
Stephanie's
That's
to Stephanie's dad, asking permission to. It was sensational. I was there leading the horse.
Oh, that's great.
It was spectacular.
Her name was Bar. That white horse. That's awesome.
Oh, cool.
So we are so connected in so many ways like that. And the horse thing, I've been doing that since I was 15, 16 years old. I worked at the Circle B Ranch, grooming 50 horses every day so they could take the rides. That was my deal. I was a wrangler.
Wow.
And enjoyed it.
Huh?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. It's very cool.
It's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun. You've been good lately, eh? You've been doing a lot of stuff?
Yeah, yeah. I can't stop trying to do something. Like I don't sit. Yeah.
No, you should.
I sit and play Xbox with him sometimes, some golf.
We play some golf.
You know, but
Or
that's
golf in real life.
yeah.
No, that's a different
Yeah.
ball game. You should play golf in real
Well,
life.
well, we kind of do, but we neither one of us have the time. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a
It's-
huge
yeah,
time
it's hard.
commitment
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
when we could be doing something else.
For sure.
Yeah, big time. But I mean, there's this. This is awesome. It's so much fun.
I think this is the best way to spend, 2 or 3 hours.
This
I
is
gotta tell you.
definitely enjoyable.
Yeah.
This is very cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I get to do it with him,
Yeah.
and he says he gets to do it with me. But what's best is we get to do it with you.
And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you separately, right?
Yeah.
That's
true.
what I said to you.
It's true. Yeah.
This young man made me think, oh yeah, this is directly off of Randy. There is no question. This kid has enough drive but he has enough of himself, and he's strong. He has a strong understanding of who he is. Because when he came to me, he says, I'd like to do this and I'd like to learn that. And I listened to him real close, and I thought, okay, he's focused. He wants to learn a certain thing so that he can get better. And I had no problem with that. That was great. And
Well, I appreciate everything you
enjoyed
did
it.
for me, and you taught me and all that. Yeah, and I was having so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
I know that it's like it was kind of a side thing, and it ends up for the movie business and everything that I do there. But I had a ball, and I do miss it, and and I see your words of wisdom and everything on Facebook all the time, and I love it, and I miss you, and I think you're just you're awesome, and you're in my dad's group. It was his suggestion to go to you for obvious reasons. Yeah, man, I appreciate what you're saying, and I think that while I'm his. I have that because of him. You guys are friends for the exact same sort of reason.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
makes sense.
There's something. That's exactly what I was just going to say. There's some things that just plain and simply make sense.
Totally.
Right? Like, you get to know when a human being is real. You don't have to agree with everything they do. You don't, that's not important. If you see that their intentions are real, that they care, that they love, that they give out that energy, they're worth knowing. They are worth knowing. They're worth spending time, and they're worth calling him brother by choice. I have no problem calling that man brother by choice. And you, number one son, I don't have a problem with that one either.
Yeah.
Right? You're a good kid, and you've always, and I call you a kid, you're no kid. But
Well,
but to me,
comparatively,
to me,
Yeah.
I nearly choked on 70, trust me. At 35 was the last time I got totally inebriated, and I'll tell you why. I was halfway to 70. Now I'm 70, and I went, I don't sure what all the fuss was about, but here I
Right.
am. At 35, it was looming. I was like, oh
Yeah.
God. And now I'm there. I'm like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. Having fun, and I'm enjoying life. I spend a lot of time with a lot of wonderful people, and part of the biggest problem I think our society's having right now is people have forgotten that we were never intended to take on the problems of the world.
Okay.
Computers and news and all that shit that we are bombarded with, and I mean bombarded with. You can't watch a news without hearing all the gory details of every place in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't meant to live like that. We were meant to live in our groups and together in our, sections. And if we had to defend, well, we did. And there was no worldwide communication like there is right now. People, if they get bombarded, they suck in all of that information. Our brains aren't built to handle that shit. They're just not. At some point, you got to cut it off, right? I don't own a phone.
Really?
I don't own a phone. I refuse.
Trying to get a hold of you to do this podcast, I've discovered that.
Is a pain in the ass. It is.
Yeah, we're lucky that your wife is 15 years younger than you are.
Exactly.
She has a phone.
Exactly. Well, she has a phone because she basically, everything she does is on that phone, right?
Sure.
I refuse. I don't want it. I don't want that connection. I much prefer to keep my space small. I talked to one of my best friends this morning, Billy Brailsford, a rough diamond. Hey, how are you doing? He lost his brother. He's living on his own now. Things aren't good. He just has sold his Harley, which shocked me.
That's hurt. That's gotta hurt.
So I talked to him for over an hour and a half this morning, just talking to my friend, just making him laugh and joking and trying to, those communications are much more important than walking around trying to tell the world sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so tired of people pissed off at other people. I'm so tired of the people don't understand what nurses and doctors go through, or they would never say the shit that they say about that group of people and
Sure.
put them down or put walls in their way to get to work, or that's just junk. I mean, you're insane.
Well, the way I see it too is that people they get brave behind the technology. When they're behind a phone, a computer, a gun, a car.
Yeah,
all of a sudden they're like,
more than once
they'll say or do whatever they want.
More than once I've said, yeah, come out from behind that phone and talk to me. Tell it to my face.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's probably why I don't have one, because I like to converse with people one-on-one.
Right.
If I have a problem with you, I'll bring it to you. I'm not going to bring it to somebody else, and I'm not going to paste it all over Facebook so the world can see it. And who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? I mean, I've got like 3,000 friends on Facebook. Well, the truth is, I have probably 40 to 50 that are real tight that I would talk to on a regular basis and call. The rest are acquaintances or people that I've known, or people that want to know me, or people I want to know. And the truth is, I don't need to understand all their problems and all that stuff. I don't need to live with that.
What's interesting about Facebook, of course, I have a bunch of friends on the Facebook. And I'm similar with the heartfelt best friend type things. But I rarely take stunt people unless I know them, sort of, because I don't do business over Facebook. But if you're a martial artist, I don't care where you're from in the world. I used to write for all those magazines, so I still have people that contact me because of that. I have a pen pal, now it's by email, in Australia, who's been sending me letters since he was a little boy. Now he owns his own club, and it's been great, a great friendship. We've never met. But if the moment someone wants to be my friend on Facebook and they're a martial artist, it's instant on.
Yeah.
Because I know their heart.
Yes, you do. You know, at least they've given a good part of their life to educating themselves and to learning. And you can't be and here's my problem, you can't be a real martial artist without understanding integrity. You can't. And if you don't understand integrity, then martial arts, you can't declare you're a martial artist, because the two walk hand in hand. You can't have shit come out of your mouth that isn't the truth, that isn't the way
Real.
you are. It isn't real. And I've found that there are an amazing number of real people around the world who, yes, I immediately take on. Immediately. If they're a martial artist, it's, yes, I'll talk to you. Hi, how are you? What's going on? But I still don't take on their problems. And like I said, we need to go back to our smaller cell of living, you know.
Well, speaking of smaller cell, how would you guide someone on making the decision to finding the proper place to go and learn martial arts of any type?
It has nothing to do with the art he's learning.
No, I don't imagine. It would be the person.
There has to be a connection, and if you don't go and take the class and don't feel a connection to the instructor,
They might not know otherwise.
you know,
They might not know that there needs to be that connection.
they might not, and they might not feel it, and they're going to join there. And I have a bunch of past students who have joined other clubs who have come to me afterwards and have said,
Man, I didn't know.
I didn't know this was what it was. And I've had people come and start all over again who actually got the brown belt or black belt in one art and started all over again at white belt because they wanted to learn my way.
I know you know that feeling too.
Yeah, I do. No, I'm just soaking it in because it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The word real, martial arts is not about a victory or a win at a tournament. A victory and a win at a tournament are nothing other than 2 nights jousting and enjoying the joust. It's not real. Every person that straps on a black belt from my club is real. If they get into it, they will fight, and they will fight back with everything they got, or else they won't get a black belt from me. And there are so many schools now that don't see that as being the ultimate energy to what they're teaching. In order to give somebody confidence, he's got to stand on that keel and he's got to be able to swing back. It's not a matter of throwing the first punch, but it's a matter of swinging back. Are you going to stand there and get beaten to a pulp, or are you going to blaster his nose all over his face? What are you going to do? Right? So in the long run, martial arts schools, real martial arts schools, are limiting and are starting to fade because society has made it so that if you punch somebody in the nose, you might get sued. If you trip some guy, you might get sued. If the kid trips over the carpet, he might get sued. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. Nobody gets hurt in a martial arts school that's real any more than they would doing any other sport. Football was mine, and I got killed in football. I can't tell you the number of times I broke bones, had bruises, mushed ribs. I mean, it was all part of it. But people nowadays, they run schools and they're scared. They're scared somebody's going to sue them, so they're going to lose all their money. They're going to do this. It's not right.
And they sell belts
Oh, yeah.
at gradings so that guy's parents will pay for it again because he looks cute in that.
Yeah, I especially love the blue belt.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
Has there ever been anyone to try to sell a belt just to anybody?
Oh, yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? You can go online. You can go online
Yeah,
right now.
You could.
Really?
And I guarantee you can buy yourself a black belt from a supposed instructor.
From a proper...
Well, probably
Yeah.
not a proper, but somebody that's trying to make
Man,
money.
I need to get one.
Oh, yeah, there was all kinds of
Take that paper away from him and stop playing with it.
all kinds of scams. Just leave it alone. There were all kinds of scams. I'm not sure what this is. I didn't read it yet.
You're going to sign your life away when you're done.
Yeah, well, that's
Pretty
all right.
much. Pretty
I
much.
signed my life away when I first met you.
Yeah. It doesn't hold the water.
I do have one question. You know, I was a firefighter and I put out a lot of fires. I just don't understand why a human being would light themselves on fire.
Oh,
Randy-
did Andrew not mention that we're doing that to you after this podcast?
Yeah.
Randy Butcher.
Yeah.
I've watched that time slot card thing so many
Oh,
times.
that was good. That was good.
The
How many
Canada's
times have you
Wonderland.
been on fire?
179.
179 times.
And your most recent was
The most recent was the most recent
Resident Evil.
Evil movie.
Yeah. Anyone who might have seen it, he's when the big 18-wheeler crashes, he's doubling the guy, the truck driver.
That walks into the police station.
Yeah. And it's actually a really great moment.
It is. It's it's centered out. It's by itself. You walk across. All.
Yeah, it's cool.
yeah.
It's
So
cool.
you have
Good
to-
music, all that stuff.
That,
Yeah, it's
that
good.
was the burn mask I was wearing right over your left shoulder there.
Oh, right.
Oh,
on.
that's from. Oh yeah, okay. That's
Resident
from that
Evil.
movie. Oh, okay. Where's your Darkman mask?
The Darkman mask. That kind of foam, it
It
disintegrates.
just yeah.
Yeah, after a while.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure every time I walked by it as a kid, I would just pick a little more off.
Yeah, I remember that. I tell you,
Just a little bit every time. He'll never notice until there's a
That's-
hole. This
till it's all gone.
That's so cool.
Yeah, well, I've lit a number of civilians on fire for birthdays and things of that nature, and if you're into it, we'll do it up.
Ooh, that might be interesting. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, we'll make sure to fight that fire when you're ready.
Well, I have something coming up that I thought you might be interested in. My 70th birthday, I was given 20 laps in a Formula One
Oh, trip.
Oh, that's cool.
car, and so I'm looking forward to that.
And where is it and when?
I think it might be Mosport, and
Right.
I'm going to wait until it's cool, because I'm sure a fire suit is hot,
Yep.
and I don't like being uncomfortable, so I'm going to wait until probably 1st of October or
Nice.
So they're putting you in a fire suit to do this?
so. Oh,
Like a
they're-
racing
they're-
suit.
Wow, right
they're-
on,
They're
okay.
putting me in the whole gear.
Right on, man.
You get
That's cool.
bundled up, and it's one of the slapstick
Yeah.
speed controls, and you just
Oh,
slap
yeah,
it and
yeah,
it
yeah.
pops into gear, and
Yeah.
and I got my pick. I can go in a McLaren, Ferrari,
Oh yeah. Okay.
They have
Lambo
they have
or
Porsches
Porsche
there.
or something like
Porsches.
that.
They have Porsches there too.
I just
Well,
saw a commercial there.
They
It's
have
a great time.
They have a street rod Porsche that's very quick that you can take out and zip around the block into. And I can choose 2 or 3 cars. I don't just have to ride in the same
Oh,
one.
sick.
Oh, good for you.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
going to
that's
be a
sweet.
blast.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It should be fun. It's the little bit of daredevil that's still left in me.
I love it. I love that.
Well, you gotta do 15, 20 seconds of uncomfortable.
Now you're
fire burn.
you're a big guy. Like you're tall.
Yeah,
A lot of those cars don't accommodate guys your height.
I know. They'll have to slide. I said to him, you're going to have to get a crane to slide me in and slide me.
Get a convertible and drop them in.
Well, I've watched them go in through the windows, and there's no hope in hell I'm going to do that. So the door had better open.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
that's sweet. Yeah, that'll be sweet. Are you a race fan?
I love watching the races.
Yeah.
I'm not a big personal fan of racers or racing,
Yeah.
but I've seen some of the greats.
I'm certainly similar to that.
Yeah, I just like the speed.
Yeah.
And
Hell yeah.
back in the day when you could find a place that was private and you could drive fast, I used to drive fast a lot. I have a story to tell. I'm driving down a second line out in Etobicoke, and I went over the 401, and it's a real hefty bridge that has a real big lift on the other end of it. I hit it at about 110 miles an hour in my daddy's car. Launched the car, came off the thing, and landed flat down on the road and cracked the manifold off. And I'm going down the road going, bah, 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 bah. I took it home and I went,
Whoops.
I can't tell them what I did, so here's a lie. I put it in the ditch, Dad. Sorry.
Yeah, which is better?
Yeah.
Yeah, make myself out to be a bad driver.
That's awesome.
But I've always had a thing about, taking corners on two wheels. And
Well, this kid does similar, and I'm sure that
Yeah.
he's taken mom's and dad's cars out and done things in them because now he's an incredible stunt driver. He does some of the best stuff. We go out and they do some crazy stuff sometimes at high rates of speed and corners and slides and whatever.
yeah, those new cars
That's
that
fun,
slide are awesome, man.
The drifters?
The drifters. I have
Oh,
one
those
of my
guys are
black
wicked.
belts. One of my black belts drives a drifter,
Right.
and it's something else.
The fun thing about the
That
drifting
stuff's
cars
cool.
is they're designed for it. The wheels, the tires,
yeah.
how the suspension works,
Mm-hmm.
the brakes, they're all designed to do that. This kid can do it in a normal car.
In a regular Porsche.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, you just play with the car for a bit and figure it out, and yeah, I did a Lexus job last year with the 350, whatever it's called, all-wheel drive, this and that, but I got to,
Shout out to Lexus because we need sponsors.
yeah, Lexus, yeah, bring it. And I got to, we were up in Algonquin Park, just sliding through past, just the
corners.
the road's barely wider than this room.
Yeah.
And just around trees and this and that. Oh man, I
And
love
some of the
I
drone
love getting
shots,
to do stuff like
the
that.
drone
yeah.
shots are incredible.
Yeah, it's unreal.
I just love finding a groove line, like when you're hitting a corner or you're doing a hairpin or something.
Big time.
And you find you come in tight and then you go out wide and you come. I mean, I love it. I
Yeah.
love the way the cars handle.
There's
and-
magic, man.
You know what? You don't have a phone, but I appreciate your love for the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite car?
Well, after I did the Fruit Gushers commercial, I bought myself a 2007 Monte Carlo. Now I'm driving all pickup
Okay.
trucks because I live in the country.
Yeah, sure.
But back then, I loved the Monte. It was a real nice, hot little car. It could go.
you
Cool
made
car.
enough money off that spot to buy a Monte Carlo. Oh man,
This is Gushers, baby.
It ran for over 2 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think it paid all of it, but
yeah, of course.
a pretty good chunk of
That's
it.
great.
Yeah, down
know,
payment of sorts.
Well, some months it was a couple of grand, and some months was.
So if somebody wants to see it, what do you look up on YouTube again?
Fruit Gushers Karate.
Fruit
Really?
Gushers Karate on.
And,
Yeah.
and it'll pop up me.
It's so
that's
good.
hilarious.
Hi-ya!
Fruit Gushers.
Do you still ride your bike?
I was going to talk to you guys about that. No, I don't.
Okay.
And I have a 1975 FLH
Ultra classic.
custom ready to go. I'm going to have to sell it. I don't want to. It says Yosemite on it. YOSMT is my license plate.
Don't mention it over the air, but write the price down. Just show me.
Oh, it's simple. Simple.
Copy that.
And
Well-
I have all kinds of parts that go with the original. I customized the whole thing. The pegs are raked a little for long legs. It's not a highway peg bike. It's a regular peg bike, but
Okay.
they're set forward. And all the gear is forward. It's got white walls on it. It's
Sweet.
It has a sticker paint job. I had them do the peel and press on the tank and on the tail. And it's of Yosemite National Park. And my rear my rear guard is Yosemite Sam, right? With the,
Oh man! So
Oh,
they
that's
did
cool.
a wrap of that photo.
Yeah,
man.
the wrap of Yosemite National Park all the way around my tank is the
Very cool.
the mountains and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I've got to sell it. The doctor scared the crap out of me.
Okay.
After I had my hips done, she said to me, you've got to understand you have 2 cannonballs in your pelvis. And she said, you come off of that bike and you land. The balls won't break. They will break your pelvis.
Everything around it will.
They will shatter through it and go right through your pelvis like a cannonball.
What are these balls?
And the balls are on top of my hips,
hip joints.
The hip joints.
Oh, okay,
and
I
they,
see.
And they are titanium. So
Whoa.
I'm a double titanium hippie, right? That's what I am. So and
Cool.
It's like Caesar. He's a triple titanium hippie. He's got a shoulder as well as two.
Sounds like a
hips.
good fight name for a big tournament.
Caesar Bukowski.
He does.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yeah. It's a martial artist problem. Our knees, our hips go.
There's a lot of slam.
My knees are next to go, and I'm kind of holding it off. I don't want to do that. Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Too much titanium.
Yeah, well, you'll soon you'll be Wolverine.
Yeah, cool. Exactly.
It's all good.
That would be okay if I only had to do it once.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Oh
but,
shit, man. So you just kind of got scared a little bit.
Well,
stay off.
I didn't want to hurt myself like that.
Yeah.
And okay, all the years I've ridden a bike, I've never come off like that. I have come off, but I've never come off hard or heavy.
Right.
Totally.
I've laid the bike down a couple of times, gone for a slide, that kind of thing.
But that's just a fact that at some point in your riding life, you're gonna
But you
put it down.
Yeah, it's not if or it's a win.
It's a
yeah.
win. Oh yeah, you don't ride a bike and expect not to put it down.
Big time.
The first time I dumped mine, I was right beside a cop. We're on Weston Road, and I'm sitting at a stoplight, and I go to take off, and rub, and the cop's on his I think it was a pie wagon he was on, and he takes off, and and the two of us go, and all of a sudden, I'm down in the middle of the street, and my bike's doing donuts in the middle of the street, and the car comes along and stops right there, and I'm like, oh shit. Oil from an accident, previous accident, down on the, I didn't even see it.
Remember, I went over my bike from oil.
Yeah.
I was riding next to you. We were riding side by side, and we were going super slow. We were about to take a little turn, and he's turning, and I'm not turning.
Yeah.
I couldn't turn.
You were sliding.
Yeah, I was sliding, and I was either going to go into him or I didn't know what to do. So I basically just slammed on those brakes, and I actually went over.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, the second time I ever did this, I dropped it and played it really smoothly at a pretty high speed. But yeah, with that one, that was that was a bit of a freaky thing. But I basically just Superman through the air and rolled it out, and I got up, and everybody around was like, "I'm okay." I'm okay. Is the bike okay?
Yeah.
You know.
No.
So
I remember that.
yeah, that was a bit crazy. Yeah,
But you're right. You're gonna go down.
yeah
I mean,
it's
you know, I got cut off one day, and I'm on my buddy's Honda 150 because he wanted to carry a cat home for his girlfriend. So I'm on his bike and never rode his bike before, and I got cut off by this crazy woman who didn't know how to drive, and I slammed on front brake, back brake, same time, and the front brake cable snapped in my hand.
whoa.
Guess where I ended up? Underneath the car. I slid right down underneath. I'm looking at the gas tank.
Really? Yeah. Holy fuck.
Yeah, I was looking at the gas tank. I was fine. I stayed on the bike.
Jesus.
Protect the bike.
Jeez.
Yeah. I always found it was better to stay on the bike. If you're going down, stay on the bike, get your feet off the ground, and get your knees and rest of the skinning part off the ground.
Yeah, man.
You don't want road rash.
So where do you have where's Tammy right now at the karate camp? Where is it?
It's in Milton. She's doing her thing. Today is internal. Yesterday she took all the kids to the swimming park. They all went swimming and had a good time. And
It's great.
today they're doing other things. They're doing tie-dye shirts, and they're training, and she mixes up the training with some good things for kids to do.
Sure.
They have a great time. She loves doing it.
It's fabulous.
She loves working with those kids. Like, she just glows.
And you're going to keep doing this, aren't you?
Oh yeah, till I can't. So that's what you'd love this. The chief asked me, he says, "How long are you going to keep carrying the staff, the Eagle staff?" And I looked at him and I said, "Till I can't." And he just smiled and walked away. He went, "Cool. Till I can't."
Absolutely.
I mean, we all have a time. We all will have a time, but don't stop living until that time's done. That's not
100%.
good. That's
you,
not
you
good.
fall in love with something, and I mean, how do you just
Yeah.
give it up?
Well, you don't.
You don't. You fall in love with a woman, you don't give her up.
No. No.
It's
Tammy
just-
and I are permanent for the rest of our lives, and then
and I think the other loves are too. And it is what it is.
exactly whatever is in your heart is what you should be attached to. Don't
Big time.
don't go trying to do too much, or I don't think there's anything gained by being too me. I don't think there's anything to be gained by it.
Well, that's an interesting dilemma. I don't know if it's a dilemma so much. In me. You gain a great deal to yourself because you're selfish. Me.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, what have you really gained? You might have a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
but there's nothing around you.
That's right. Nothing of significance.
Yeah.
I guess that's what the point of passing it on. If you are going to gain, also give. It's just that full circle kind of helps.
It's the only way.
And it's interesting about doing a podcast like this is because on one hand, it's incredibly selfish because I want to have conversations.
Sure.
But on the other hand,
Yeah.
I want to give everyone you. I know you. I want you to go out to everyone. Does that make sense?
Totally.
It does.
Totally.
I love
Totally.
this. And this is a smaller circle.
Yeah.
Here we are telling stories.
Yeah.
Someone is in a car right now listening to this. Someone is in their living room watching YouTube, listening to this, participating in our conversation and getting answers to their questions. I mean,
I hope they enjoy it.
I look across the table at you, Scott. You hold black belts in numerous styles of martial arts, high level black belts. You have fulfilled the dreams of many, many people. Many people want a dream about doing what you've done and going to Japan and getting that, growing that beard. I dream of that.
Well, I dream of that. I dream of that too. I don't think I'm ever getting that.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's you start a life and you just go, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Look at what you've accomplished.
Yeah.
I talk to people, and I talk to people all the time when I was doing movie stuff with you and with other people. And whenever you were mentioned, there was always good words, good terminology, because you didn't leave anything nasty behind, and everything you did was for the betterment of what you were trying to accomplish. When people do that in general, of their whole lives, then it's easier to live. It's easier for us all to live. It's all to be a part of that understanding of, let's accomplish, let's do it together, let's spread our energy, and let's see what we can do. I mean, without that, we got pretty much nothing,
I mean, doesn't it? I mean, in another way, it makes your own life better when everyone around you's happy and feeling right and all this.
That's right.
We're all born with ourselves, and that's just, it is what it is, and we have to look after ourselves. But I think in part, looking after yourself is, you also have to look after others in order to do that. And, and then it just kind of just feeds off each other.
The best feeling in the world is to assist a hand to somebody that needs it.
Absolutely.
There is no better feeling than that. And if you can do that even in the words that you speak, it's a wonderful thing, because you've given somebody a little peace of mind. You've given somebody a little understanding, so that they feel that they're not fucked up in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, so many people are so caught up. I hear it. I look at it. I see some of these things written in Facebook, and I'm like, are you kidding me? What is so bad?
Oh man.
Life is good, and we only have it for so long, so you'd best figure out how to enjoy it, how to have a good time, how to pass on all the good things that have happened to you, and basically do. Don't stop doing until you can't. Right? That's the way I feel. I still do some gardening, and it gets tougher every year. Trust me, it's right. But I got tomatoes and zucchini and stuff growing, potatoes in my backyard. I mean, and I play with my dogs. There's nothing I like better than doing simple stuff, and just keep doing. Enjoy your life and realize that it's not here forever.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's only while we're here, so make a good time of it. And I don't know about you, but the years pass so damn fast. It's shocking. I remember some of those moments.
Oh my God, yes.
I remember some of the moments that we've had
Yeah.
like they were yesterday.
Yeah.
So vivid, so clear, so...
That's how sweet they were.
Well, yeah, that's how, exactly. And our minds will do that for us if we let them. If we let them. If we don't get so bogged up in everybody else's crap.
Yeah, what a weird world, huh? We're living in some interesting times.
We certainly are. As a paramedic, as a medic for Metro, and lived through SARS and did all that, I said the day that they came out with this is a pandemic, a world pandemic, I said close doors today. Had they done that, we wouldn't be nearly in the shit that we're in. It took them 2 weeks to shut down the airports. It took them 2 weeks to shut down the borders after they knew what was going on. That's just not acceptable. In my being, that's not acceptable. But nobody took it for real. Everybody thought, oh, it's just another flu. It's just a this. It's just a that.
Yeah.
No, man, this is a killer.
Yeah.
And it's coming after your grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm a grandpa. And so is he.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Thanks for bringing that up. Nobody knew.
Yeah, well, just in case you know what I'm saying, brother. I mean, it was bad. It was handled badly. Worldwide, badly.
Sure.
Right. So I said that. Sente
Yeah.
Guest will bring that up anytime we talk to people about this. He brings it. He says, Scotty said 2 weeks before they closed, he said they should shut down. I said, yeah, I did. It only made sense to me. Didn't make any sense to, even not knowing what it was, it didn't make sense to expose. And they did anyway. So.
I find everything is dealt with terribly, personally.
Because they've never had. Wait a minute, they've never had it before. I don't think that any one person is at fault here, and I don't blame Trudeau for any of this. It's not his fault.
I do.
I don't, and I'll tell you
I
why.
hate Trudeau.
I'll tell you why. Hating Trudeau is one thing, but dealing with something that you've never dealt with before,
Right.
is a room for mistakes are going to happen.
Sure.
You cannot deal with something you've never dealt with before and not make mistakes.
Well, how do you know?
How exactly? You don't. And nor does anybody else. Not even all these guys who do the conspiracy theories and all that shit. They didn't know shit, and they still don't know shit. The truth is, this grabbed the world by surprise. Whether it came from a place, whether it was developed from a place, it's a moot point at this point.
Sure.
What's important is we try and do the best we can to get rid of it, do whatever we have to do that.
To move on.
Right? And people, the anti-vaxxers, that's too bad. But I remember lining up as a kid, getting my polio shot, getting my, all the kids lined up, and we all were vaccinated. Vaccinations have saved people's lives. I couldn't be a medic and not say, hey, vaccinations save lives.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I'm a little bit on that other side.
I understand. I understand because you're young, and if you've had COVID, you have some immunity.
Yeah. Yep.
But for us, we weren't brought up like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
We were brought up, hey, you need a shot, you got your shot. Do you remember lining up in school?
Oh gosh, yes.
Having the shots and all this.
Yeah, when I was young, we got the shots and stuff like that.
Yeah, you did too. Well, you had to, because when you were born, he had to make sure you did.
Yeah. And I don't think it's like a vaccine thing for me. I think it's a weird time in the world, and I don't know whether I'm thinking too much or too little. It goes all around. It's all around.
It's okay to do it all, but in the back of it, understand what your purpose is in life. Your purpose in life is to have a good time, is to enjoy your life, right? So don't get too caught up in all the crap.
Yeah, no,
because
I'm with
your head can go in a million places, right?
Oh, 100%.
And you don't need that. So yeah, I just wish everybody just give it a break and try and work with what we need to work with, and that's the pandemic, what we're doing.
Yeah.
And leave everybody else alone. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I would hate to be the Prime Minister of Canada or the President of the United States.
For sure.
And have to deal with all this shit.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
The world is crazy. And that's without even mentioning what's going on in Europe. And did I move that?
No, it's all good.
What's going on in Europe and stuff. That's just more nuts.
Yeah, man, big time.
And I thought Putin would be okay. You mentioned martial artists. I thought Putin would be okay. He's a martial artist.
Yeah.
The coach hand took his black belt.
He missed something. He missed something.
There's that integrity thing.
And that's right. He missed something.
Yeah.
And right now, I think maybe he's just sick trying to make his name and secure a legacy.
Well, but that's how I feel about all of them. They're all like that nowadays. Like this whole lack of integrity bit seems to be kind of running that way through everything. Everything.
How about I approach you like this? Let's say we get rid of all different government bodies, and we put in place who we think would make the best leader, who we think would make the best second leader, who we think would be the best person to look after self-defense. What if we just said, let's govern ourselves by the people that can do the job best? Why don't we pick them instead of having the government bodies pick them after we nominate a government? That doesn't make any sense.
I agree with that. Now, the only problem with that is that there are a lot of dumb ass people. There are way too many people who I just can't get behind, you know? So
the thing is, you have to put somebody in.
I agree.
Why I'm saying this is because you could have 4 or 5 people that could in Canada be the Prime Minister of Canada. Why do they have to represent a party? Why can't they represent the Prime Minister position?
I'm with you.
And get rid of the stupid parties, because the parties can't figure out what they believe in anyway.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, the Conservatives went down like a bomb the last time, right? I mean, they thought they were going to come up and they didn't. They went down. And I mean, the whole thing, I think, is run badly and wrong.
Well, it is, and they're doing it like war rather than doing it like a community of
think about this.
Good people.
If we all, 100 of us, 100 people, move to an island.
Sounds nice.
Wouldn't we delegate the best of us as leader?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big time.
And you'd be barbecuing.
And delegate me.
Fuck yeah.
Delegate me maybe as medic, because I have that training and
for sure
responsibility. I could do that. I don't see why we can't elect the positions rather than the parties.
You know what it is there?
Parties piss me off.
But there's jealousy, envy.
Oh yeah.
There's all these other things that kind of come into play. It's he gets to be the medic.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Now we all have to vote to spear this guy off the
Egos
fucking
and
island.
greed.
Get him off. Let's send him on his way. No, yeah. I'm with you, man. I wish that's how the world was. The party thing, the split, the divides, it all makes very little sense to me. I
Well,
mean,
if you look at what
don't know.
happened in the States, it was almost civil war.
And it's not over yet.
And it's
yeah,
not over yet.
man. Yeah.
And that's craziness. That is craziness.
Yeah, the divide is huge.
The divide is crazy. Power, real power, comes from proper, integral energy that exists from everybody doing the right thing for the right reason. That's real power. What these guys are doing, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Greed and ego.
Because I don't see it. I see greed and ego.
Speaking of Japan, they just lost all their entire government stepped down.
What's that?
The entire government is, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but the government of Japan has just stepped down.
Just recently.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
After the leader
the former
passed on.
leader, was
assassinated.
assassinated.
assassinated, yeah.
What are your feelings on that? You, as a, I don't know, as someone who's been to Japan many times and has a love for the country.
Japan is very, how do I say this? They do things right.
Now, of course,
They do things right.
This government stepped down because people opposed it.
There's an energy to it that they do things right. They will iron it out so that it's done as best they can. The best way to describe the Japanese people and being is they take something that has been made and make it better. Their energy, well, a Harley's a good bike, but trust me, doesn't even come close to a Kawasaki.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen the new Honda
Yeah,
with
like
the Goldwing with the automatic transmission?
exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I've never driven one and I want to. I'm a Harley guy, but I want to ride one of these Hondas.
Really?
Exactly. But they are very, they will straighten things out. They will figure out a way to get that straight.
So do you think they stepped down because of
do I agree
failure?
with all that? Oh, probably.
Or did they feel they failed, or are they stepping down to make things right?
I don't know.
You know?
I wouldn't know unless I really got involved in that conversation there.
Sure.
But my best guess is they stepped down to straighten it out.
Right. Yeah.
You can't straighten stuff out if everybody's in power and, like you said, have their ego, have their place, they're not gonna step down or say anything. So the best thing to do would be to resolve it and start again. And I think that's probably what they're doing. They probably see a reason to do it. I mean, they didn't do great as far as the pandemic goes. Japan's still giving out stuff, and they're still having bad spreads of it, and they didn't sort of do what we did. They didn't get as many inoculations as we've had. They didn't put a stop to it like we have. So they're struggling there a little bit still.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there's a really great podcast on that you can get on YouTube, and I think it's called Punch, Kick, Choke, Chat.
Yeah.
Is it Punch, Kick, or Kick, Punch?
I think it's punch, kick, choke, chat.
Chat, yeah. I think it's great by some really prominent, well-known,
Gary Legacy.
very
boys.
skilled martial artists. And they have all you guys on. You were on. Caesar was on. There's a whole
Sensei
bunch of
was
people.
on.
Yeah, Bill Wallace was on. I watched them all. Love it. But you mentioned something that really resonated with me. And you mentioned to add just one more.
That's right.
I mentioned it to Andrew. I love it. I love that as a training tenant. Just add one. Can you expound on that?
I certainly can. When I first went to Isao Yabanaka's school on East Hastings Street, his dojo, when I walked through the door, I watched this guy work out, and he was in absolutely ridiculous shape. I mean, he could do sit-ups nonstop, push-ups nonstop, you name it, nonstop, like like a machine. And I was like, how did you do this? How do I do that? And he looked at me, and he couldn't speak English. Like, add one. And I went, one, like a day? And he goes, height, 1 day, height. I went, okay, I got it. So it's just become my form of training. I will, at one point, I started out doing roughly 25 sit-ups and maybe 15 push-ups. I added one a day, and 3-4 months later, I'm doing 100 push-ups a day and 300 sit-ups a day. 8 months later, I'm doing 100 push-ups in the morning and 100 push-ups at night and 300 sit-ups in the morning and 300 sit-ups at night. And I did that for 7 years straight. I was in ridiculous human physical shape when I was at that level. And when I was training with all my friends and Kaishin and did all that, I was in ridiculous shape because of the add one. And I always tell my students, always add one. Don't ever be satisfied by limit.
Right.
Add one, right? And if you can't add one, think about it, because you should. And so, like I said, I got to 100 and 300, and I basically called it at that and just kept it up. But I could have done 301. I could have done 101 sit-ups. But
then you just got bored at that point.
Yeah. Well,
Too many damn push-ups.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I used to really enjoy that half hour, first thing in the morning, and that half hour last thing at night. I was young, full of piss and vinegar. I was working at a place called the Body Shop out there, which was another bar, and doing the door work and doing the door. I've worked in bars all across Canada. I worked in the Showboat in Charlottetown, for crying out loud. So yeah, but yeah, that's how I did it, and that's how I got in shape. And you're throwing kicks. Well, you throw 15 kicks today, you throw 16 kicks tomorrow.
I just think it's so important for people that are listening to this that are trying to get into shape. And it's so daunting. You look at the program that you're being put on, or should I do this or do that, whatever, and it's so hard. Just add one.
Yeah,
It's so simple, but it just takes initiative and discipline to do it each day forward, you going forward every day.
Billy Blanks was kind of my measuring stick for working out.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen anybody work out like Billy. He'd put a pair of work boots on and do 300 kicks of every kick he knew. Non-stop.
Really?
Oh yeah, you don't work out like that unless
Well, he also looked like it.
Well,
Yeah,
Billy
yeah.
was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And he was such a nice, and he still is. He's my brother. We talk all the time. He's such a good guy. When I was training one of my students, Mike Frolic, good guy. He was just a new brown belt, but he was a great fighter, strong, got good reach. I went to a tournament in Connecticut, and there's Billy. First time I meet Billy, I go over, shake his hand, and I said, Billy, I got a brown belt here who would give anything to warm up with you. Would you do that? And he looked at me and he said, sure, no problem. Warmed up with my student, half hour, 20 minutes. My student blew the brown belt division apart. He won it hands down. Nobody even came close. And he said at the end of the day, it was because everything Billy had done to get him there. And my great feeling was I had been able to introduce this young man to that young man, and make them great.
But your young man got an incredible clinic.
Oh, did he ever? Did he ever? I mean, Billy could just stand there and hold his knee in kick position and then smack you in the side of the head, just keep smacking you. Like bang, 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 like he was moving a ball. He was ridiculous. I bet you at one time he could move a speed bag like you can do with your hands with his feet. I bet you he could.
Man.
I bet you he could. I don't know that for a fact, but I would assume yes, because he had so much control. And now he's teaching his daughter, which is awesome.
His daughter runs his club, doesn't she?
No, this is his
Where's
youngest
his club?
daughter. This
Oh,
is
his
youngest daughter, his new one. She's gorgeous. I guess she's 15 or 16 now. But yeah, I guess she might be running the club, but she's a good student. He trains with her every day.
Where's his club?
It's in California.
Right.
He's in California.
Yeah, yeah.
But Billy and I go back a long way, to the point we did the movies together, and we fought each other 5 times on screen, I guess, something like that. And we just had so much fun and respect for each other. It was great.
What's he doing right now?
He's still doing his Taibo thing. He's doing his club. He's doing some commercials. He's into everything like he was. But he's an amazing character. When the Masters Hall of Fame called me up to go to Texas to be inducted into the Masters Hall of Fame, they wanted Billy. And I thought, okay, I wonder if I can help them do that, because Billy's a good friend. So I picked up the phone and I called him. I said, Billy, I'm supposed to be going on stage for the Masters Hall of Fame to get my award, and I'd really like to stand on that stage with you. And I said, and they'd like to give you an award too. I said, would you come? He flew in on the Friday night to be there for the Saturday and flew home the Saturday night or Sunday, just to be there with me, standing on the stage, doing our thing. It was great.
Amazing.
That's nice.
It was a great
cool.
moment. I think so much of him. Just like I think of Donnie Jacob. Walking the streets of Trinidad was an amazing adventure.
Now, wasn't Don? He lived in Toronto for
Who?
Don Jacob.
Don Jacob. He had some people that lived in Toronto, but he usually lived in Trinidad.
Okay.
Who's Don?
Don Jacob came here several times to teach. Don Warner used to bring him up and have him do some classes and stuff.
Okay.
But he's a phenomenal martial artist. Like back in the day, he could do slow jigaris and double axe form.
I remember, but I don't remember why I think he lived in Toronto.
Probably because he has some students that live here.
Okay.
I don't think he ever did. I think he was always from Trinidad.
And Warner's now in California and has been for a long time.
Yep. They're all doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Don's doing his books, and
Yeah.
it's neat. It's neat to remember going to their dojos and having a laugh, or working out with them, or training with Don. Don Warner is actually a pretty good goju man. He trained hard, and he got me to, Chuck Merriman was one of the guys that he brought up, and
Yeah, I know that name.
Chuck was spectacular. I think a lot of Chuck Merriman, and he's gone now, but he isn't. There's a lot of influence of that man still around and still here. It's pretty incredible. Looking around at the real in martial arts, I feel very fortunate to have had so many wonderful moments with such great people, Takayuki Kubota, people like that. I learned to fight. Some of the weaponry I taught you, I learned from Takayuki Kubota. Some of the fighting energy, he beat the hell out of me for 10 days. I mean, literally beat the hell out of me with a shanai.
This is the guy that's like the #1 weapons guy kind of thing in the States.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Tak Kubota, when he was in Japan, he was a one-man cop hit squad. If there was something going on and there was some problems in a place, they just sent him in and shut the door.
Have you ever seen the little thing?
Really?
You ever seen those keychain things, the metal things, or wooden with the point on the end, and you put your keys on
Kubotan.
It's Kubotan. And
I'm not
it's
sure.
attributed to Tak for inventing that.
Yeah, he taught me how to use it,
Really?
and I've been teaching it for years. That blended with George Sylvain's pressure points and stuff.
Okay.
My self-defense, it hurts.
Yeah, man, I have no doubt.
It's supposed to.
It hurts.
Yeah.
I had a young man come into me and he said, I've done wrestling and I've done this and I've done that. He said, I have never had anybody put me in so much pain so fast. He says, you hurt. And I look at him and I said, well, I don't want to get hit. So I find that if I put somebody in enough pain fast enough, they aren't going to hit me.
Yeah, you said George Sylvain in pressure points. George Dillman?
No, George Sylvain.
George Sylvain.
George Dillman is
Yeah.
very strange.
Yeah, we don't have to go anywhere there.
Yeah, George Sylvain, on the other hand, was Canada's head police tactician, and his pressure point striking and pressure point locking and nerve locking is some of the best I've done anywhere. I was on his hands for 4 hours in a seminar. He knocked me out 3 times in that 4 hours.
Jesus. Yeah, I
What?
don't know George well, but I've met the man.
He put me out 3 times in the 4 hours, like out cold. He tagged me in the side of the neck, put me out, tagged me in the back of the head, put me out, tagged me in the front of the nose, put me out. Down I went. Holy crap.
Sounds good for the brain.
Well, I'll tell you what it was good for. It made me realize that this guy was 100% real, and what he taught was real. So I ended up putting it into my self-defense energy, women's self-defense, the teens when I taught in the schools, teaching the kids. I taught them some real energy, how to, take apart a knee if you had to.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Those strikes, what he was doing was a blood flow issue, not a concussion issue with your brain.
Right.
Yeah, no, there's a blood flow issue, and it puts you out instantly, but
Right.
it doesn't, it doesn't
Doesn't
rattle
affect
your
you.
head.
Now, in that punch, kick, choke chat,
Yeah,
you mentioned Wally J.
yes.
No, I think he's awesome.
My most respect for Wally J.
Yeah. I learned more about whatever over the course of a 2.5-hour dinner sitting beside Wally. I'm getting goosebumps because
This way it goes and that way it don't.
Yeah, it's the guy is absolutely friggin' phenomenal. Yeah. Oh no. Oh, and it's so tight. He has
Well,
a small circle jiu-jitsu. He can just take your hand and just.
My students are constantly complaining that my stuff is too tight, and Professor J, and he taught me this, and George Sylvain taught me this, and tight in energy. When you take a joint and you keep that in lock, you have them. There is no getting away from it, and there is not a thing you can do. You are.
I can see you doing it with your thumb.
You are
He's
completely.
doing it right.
You are completely screwed up. I'm like locking in. Yeah, the energy. Again, I just feel so fortunate to have trained with all these real people.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I talk to Don Warner about it, I always thank him, and I thank him as a sensei because he helped me learn. Remember, I said you got to be careful who you call sensei. Well, Don doesn't like to be called sensei, but he helped me learn some really big things and important stuff. So I don't have an option. He did sensei for me many times, like all the rest of these wonderful people. I mean, God, we have some pretty cool guys in our past, you and I, that we look at and go, wow, wish they were still here.
Yeah.
Ronnie was definitely one of them.
Yeah. Shout out to Ronnie Day.
Yeah, big time. I remember learning his knife form on my camp and doing some low stances and stuff that he could do back then, and changes and energy. I was like, are you kidding me? This guy is a massive man, and he moves so well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what's one of the most fun things ever when you spar with Ron, and we hit each other. This is not a joke. But he would want to throw a spinning side kick. he literally moves his foot back there.
Yeah.
Like he'll take his rear foot and move it behind his lead leg, and you're going, why are you doing that? I know what's coming, Ron.
Yeah, he knows you know.
He has telegraphed that 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And then bam.
He hit you with it.
There's nothing you can do with it.
Not a thing.
Is he instilling fear?
Yeah.
He's instilling now you're thinking about that damn
I just don't think,
Fuck.
like, he didn't have that gift of pivot, I think.
Right.
So he had to actually place it to move it.
Yeah.
And then by placing it, you see it, you know he's doing it, and next thing you know, you're flying against the ropes.
Yeah. He cut the angle and nailed it. Fighting with Tony Facchetti was much like that. He could hit me almost any time he wanted, and I can fight. I was a
Bring
good
that mic
fighter.
up there.
I got some pretty good haul ass. I
You can bring
fight.
that to you if you
You
want to
seem
lean
like
back.
you're all right with fighting.
Yeah, I can.
You're okay.
I can fight all right, but Tony used to put his foot in my face, like my hand. I'd go to do this. I'd go to put my hand down, and bam! I'd have this foot in my face, or a side kick, and I'd be up against the wall, going, "I can't breathe yet. Just a minute. I'll be back in a second." I mean, it was incredible. It was incredible to fight somebody of that quality, but that's how you get better.
Big time.
You can't partnering up with somebody in the club. Make sure you partner up with somebody that's better than you are.
Yeah, you got to learn
The
something.
only time I've ever been hurt is partnering up with someone who's not,
Yes,
because they're coming at full steam, and I can't.
they're trying to get to you, where the person who knows he can get to you
Right.
doesn't treat you like that.
Well, see, that's why you slip in a sidekick, just nice and breezy,
Yeah,
and he's slamming his elbow on your foot and ankle with everything he's got, because he's going at full steam and you're not, because you're not trying to beat him up.
I have a toe.
Right.
My baby toe on my right foot is permanently like that.
Okay.
I can't open it. It won't open. Nothing. It's been broken so many times from throwing side kicks at people and people jamming.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the memories.
And these are supposed to be your friends, right? And you're supposed to be jousting, right? No, jousting. No. Let's break those toes.
That's the part of the competition, man.
That's so
That's
funny.
awesome.
That's the part that you go, and why did I do this?
But I think I don't know if people get the same feeling these days, but I'll tell you, my nose was swollen for 20 years.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? And I loved getting in that ring and fighting anybody. And then we had beers.
Yeah.
I broke Larry's nose one night. You go look in the mirror, but sorry.
The very best thing about hitting somebody full blast in the face is you become best of friends.
100%.
In martial arts, you become best of friends.
Okay. Yeah.
Larry and I used to spar for he's gone now, but we used to spar for 2 or 3 hours solid. And we'd walk out bruised and battered, never broken, but bruised and battered and laughing. And then we go to the Islington house and start drinking 25-cent beers. Jesus, Murphy. And we would walk out of there, right? And then somebody would have to be stupid and say something bad to us. And the next thing you know, bam, bam! And the guy's wiped out, right? It's like, okay, maybe we trained too much. Maybe we drank too much. Let's go home, guys.
It's a combination of both.
Yeah. And when you're young, you do that stuff, you don't even think about it. Like,
For sure.
Somebody disrespects you, you pop them. You don't even think about it. It's like, goodbye. Right? Now, when somebody disrespects me, I look at them and I kind of smile and think, well, I'm glad you think so much of yourself.
I was always the type of
Yeah.
person that if you disrespect me, I didn't really care,
Yeah.
because shit comes from a horse's ass.
Well, you know where you stand.
Exactly.
You know where you stand.
Yeah,
Sure.
But don't disrespect him or her.
Oh,
No.
just sorry, real quickly. My left ear on my headphone went out.
I think.
What happened here? Oh, and it's back. It's back. Something's wrong with the cable.
It's just loose or something. Is
Okay.
it still there?
No, it's good now. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
It's okay.
Let's continue.
It happens. It happens.
I like hearing these whoop ass stories.
No, so I mean, yeah, it's
But when someone disrespects you,
it really,
it's one thing.
I don't really care, because I know where it's coming from. Mm-hmm. But man, it's that Billy Jack thing. You know, I went to a party. I was automatically the bouncer.
Mm-hmm.
No one chose me. I chose me. And if you want to fight and you want to hurt him or her, hurt me.
That'd be your role on the
Bring
island.
it to me.
That'll be my role on the island.
Bring it to me. No, that's exactly the way I was. My first gig ever was at a church, and I was a hired doorman at the church. I was 16 years old. right?
At a church.
At a church, 16 years old.
Did you have to?
And I had guys coming in there 19, 20 years old and being assholes. Right?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
In church?
Yeah, I had a couple of in the basement of the church, they had the little rock and roll.
Oh, like a party.
Like a party place.
Not Sunday morning.
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay, I'm
this
sitting
is-
here thinking,
What kind of church is this?
This was a dance. This was a
Okay,
dance. And
I
that
get
was
it.
my first
80-year-old
gig.
lady's really acting up here.
But I always found it. I remember the guy I had to straighten out at the time. His first name was Peppy. Anyway, I had to straighten him out, and this guy was a fighter who just loved to get in there and fight. And he threw his first punch, and I grabbed him by the throat and slammed him against the wall, and I said, "Get your ass out of here now," and took him out the front door. Right? That was it. Well. Next time there's a party, hey, Scott, you want to come over here? Hey, Scott, you want to come over here? And by the time I was 17, I was working at the Mad Mechanic.
What's that?
A bar, a legal bar. I was underage.
I dig the title. I dig the title. Mad Mechanic.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was on Shorten Cliff in Dundas.
Okay.
There's a big hotel there. It's gone now, but it was there. And yeah, that was the first place I worked full time as a doorman, and I was 17 years old. Right? And then I had my birthday at the place, and my boss said, "How old are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm 18 today." He went,
Whoa.
"You son of a!" You can imagine what came out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And he went, I, and I said, "Did I do the job?" He said, "You did the job." I said, "Okay, thank you."
Can I keep my job?
Yeah, we left it at that, but it was funny.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
You worked at a few bars.
I did. Yeah.
Again, that's where we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is that you learn a few practical skills. You learn how to speak to someone,
Yeah.
and it doesn't end up in a physical altercation.
Sure.
But those that do are quelled pretty quickly.
Are done in a hurry.
Yeah, it's not. There's nothing to stall about.
No.
It's like, I hate this, but to use a quote from Bruce Lee, is I don't push, I punch. So the moment someone touches me,
Bang.
it's over. It's already. He has no clue how fast.
Why half-ass it?
He's in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over. And that's the way you had to do the job. But I found that, you didn't get into a ton of stuff. If you present yourself strong and you can do the job and you look at people as they come through the door and leave an impression on that person.
They
as
don't want to
come through,
deal with you.
They don't want to deal with you. So the bar quietens down pretty quick.
I can imagine.
If you have people that know what they're doing, right? And it's not a big deal. Every now and then, yes, you have to defend or you have to fight.
Well, I
or
imagine that you
something.
make a bit of a reputation for
Oh,
yourself. There's this kind of thing,
Sure. Well, I used to teach guys to work in the bars. I used to teach the...
No, I used to
and
teach
how to do that.
on dance floors.
Yeah, how to do it.
I'd go in during the day and teach them.
Exactly. And I used to teach the bartenders and the servers. I taught them how to use their trays.
Wow.
The edge of a tray.
Real weapon man.
The edge of a tray can crack you so hard your nose will get changed, completely positioned. I'm telling you, and I've had them use it. When I was out in Charlottetown, I taught them to use their trays out there, and there some of the boys are a little bit grabby, eh? Hey, just a touch grabby, eh? So they're out there grabbing, and the one lady I taught, she took the tray, smacked his hand down, the glasses went, and then took the edge of it and went bang and hit him right across the cheek, laid him right out. I was like,
This is a great movie moment I'm stealing.
Yes, love this. Yes. The tray worked perfect, right? And you can, if somebody goes to hit you, you can pull the tray up and stick it in their face. I mean,
Totally.
Speaking of this use of random stuff as weapons, you used a cane in some of your competitions, presentations.
World Championship.
Well, I would love to just know more about it. First off, can anyone watch it? Is there anywhere?
There is some video, but none of the video I've seen is good. I know that Boy Slidell from the NBL has tape of it, but I've never actually seen it. But what I did was, do you remember Singing in the Rain?
Mm-hmm.
The movie Singing in the Rain?
Yeah.
And
with the umbrella.
With the umbrella?
Yeah.
And, well, I used a cane instead of the umbrella. I had a fedora, I had a bow tie, I had a white shirt, suspenders, black pants, and I came out dancing to Singing in the Rain and using the cane as my weapon. And at the end, I hooked the guy's balls and ripped his balls off, set them on the ground, and engulfed them into the audience.
Love it.
And everybody loved it. And
so you were able to portray that. There's nobody else there.
I won first place.
That's brilliant.
I won a world championship doing that. And I actually put it together 24 hours before I put the dancing and all that stuff. And I had people come up to me, I didn't know you could soft shoe. I didn't know you could.
You were like, I was totally unprepared.
All I did it was to say goodbye. To say goodbye to competition because and then I did go back to compete one more time. I went to England, and this is why it's 12. I went to England and I won world championship there in forms, traditional forms, for one of my students who had passed from breast cancer. So that was very cool.
That is
tough to do.
I imagine.
Yeah. I had pink belts all the way around there.
Oh, nice.
Oh, man.
Now, speaking of putting something together 24 hours in advance, I went to a tournament once, and I was just sitting there, and they called up the next competitor, Scott Hogarth. And you came out, and you were in a hakama, and you got your sword. And it was great because you did your thing, and I forget who I was sitting with, one of the guys from the club, and I said, I don't recognize any of this. He's making this shit up. It looked great. But yeah, and then you finished and walked away. It was great.
Oh, yeah. Martial arts, it's a performance.
Sure.
And sometimes automatic energy.
I get it.
Is
Believe me.
by far better. Steve Reynolds, who just passed away, God bless him. That man could do a form in the middle of the room and make you believe every move he made was something that came from history, and it came out of his brain 10 seconds
right there
earlier.
on the moment.
Right there at the moment.
But that's like him playing the guitar.
It was fantastic.
It's just your understanding of the...
He can play the song, but because he understands music, he can riff off anything.
Sure.
So that's exactly what you do as a martial artist.
He's a tone, semitone, tone, semitone guy.
Yeah.
And he understands that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right? And then as soon as you understand that, you can play anything.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you can see it, you can play it, you can do it. It's an understanding, as you said. It's an understanding.
Totally.
But I did a form 24 hours when Ron Day passed away. I did a scabbard and blade form at his memorial.
This might be it. This might be what I'm thinking.
And a lot of people came up and went, wow.
Was it at the...
I didn't know you could do that. And I said, yeah, I can do Chinese art. I trained with Ron Beer for years. I used to travel out there every Thursday night for 5-6 years. And my buddy Larry Chalk, we used to go out and train with him. So I knew how to use a sword and stuff. But as far as that form was, of course I made it up.
No.
I made up the whole thing.
But
it was for Ron. It was kung fu for Ron.
Sure.
So it wasn't about doing something that was somebody else. It was me saying goodbye to Ron.
No, I love it.
That's what it was.
I see.
So, that was important for me.
And is this the same play? Is this what you're talking about?
No, I don't believe it was. It might.
It's actually on videotape.
Okay.
My form is on videotape from the when we had the tournament to say goodbye to Ron. It was
I got Ronnie right here.
Yeah. Yeah. I still have the chair I won.
Oh, you do? Oh, I remember that.
It's the only chair I have in my living room. We took everything else out, so I have a dojo in my living room and my chair. And my chair is from Ronde.
Yeah, I remember.
What kind of
It
chair?
It's a lazy boy.
Whoa.
Kickback lazy boy that I watch all my TV programs in and sit in front of my fireplace. And
That's what I do. I sit in my lazy boy for an hour, and then I just add one.
yeah, that's right. Make it one more hour. But that's exactly what I do. And I've had that chair since the day I won it. And I beat some pretty good martial artists to win it. Ken Talek keeps asking me, he says, how's my chair? And I said, well, seeing how I won it, and we have this little back and forth.
Andrew and I,
It's a lot of fun.
When we were up in Kingston last year making a Mayor of Kingstown, the TV series, Kenny came by my room to have a shot of scotch.
Yeah, that
And you
was
got to meet Ken.
that was one of the most interesting nights I'd ever had. Ken talked about the past, and I don't know. My dad's got this buddy coming and whatever. I didn't think much of it until he just started talking about my dad's history and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, that was one of the coolest nights. But I just sat there and listened, kind of like what I want to do right now. It was awesome, he was awesome.
I learned my Japanese weaponry from Ken.
Oh, really?
My bow energy. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. He helped give me my initial energy to it. And then, of course, I went and trained with Kubota and a few other people, and I have a little more. But it's always important, those instances that you start something or you learn something new and you're given that energy. Like when I worked with you, it's that
100%.
Those days you won't forget, right? I mean,
Absolutely not.
He speaks incredibly highly of that.
it was a lot of fun, and that's the personal energy that I'm talking about that needs to happen between a sensei and a student. It can't always be a group function. Cannot.
More often, it just shouldn't be. It just, unfortunately, we have to work that way, because there's not enough.
Well, that's
there's not enough wisdom.
That's the business of it.
Yeah. But I'm with you. I mean,
you can impart so much more of what is real to your student when it's you and them, or maybe you and a couple. Sometimes I have little black belt classes on noon hour, and they always walk out of there going, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Right? It's just opening cracks in people's minds. Just allow them to think Kai-Shin, like open mind, the open mind, the open energy. Make them see that even doing the form that comes and flows out of me, although it's not a set form, doesn't make it any less real.
Oh, I have a friend who lives in California. He was David Carradine's kung fu trainer on the show. You have to see him.
What, not Master Po?
No, not Master Po.
Sorry.
But you have to see him do his martial arts.
Yeah.
He's one of the most flexible men I've ever met. He's an incredible weapons expert. 3-section staff, mind-blowing. But his kung fu, and he calls it fu surfing, and he'll just start, and he just moves. And what he does, and the power that he throws with what he does in all these circles is incredible. And he's making it up as he goes. He will walk through this room and glide his hands down the wall, and it'll go around corners, and he'll fu surf the room.
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
Brilliant. and it's all, he makes it up as he goes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because but he learned the map.
But he's incredibly skilled. I mean, he learned.
Yeah, he learned the basics.
But that's the thing. Yeah, you learn a map, and you kind of have something guiding you as you do stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, it was never meant to be linear and exactly this way.
No.
Martial arts was never, ever meant to be like that. You have to take everything you're taught and make it work for you.
Art. It's art. You're painting a picture, man.
And it is. And it's about being able to grab the ground and being able to focus your energy, and to obtain that energy comes from years of training where you're trained to grab the ground. Now, how you do it and where you do it, that's a whole different ballgame. That's flowing martial art. That's flowing kung fu for all the purpose that is. That's when your martial arts is best, is when you flow with it. Funakoshi only used his martial arts twice. The great master Genshin Funakoshi only ever used his martial arts twice. Once, he was stepping from a dock to a pitching boat, and he misstepped his step and managed to grab a hold of the edge of the boat with his toes and pull himself in or out. I'm not sure which it was, whether he pulled himself out of the water or pulled himself into the boat, but he did it by the sheer power of his toes grabbing onto the edge, which is something that we train. We constantly train our toes to grab and grab the ground and that kind of thing. And then the other time he wished he hadn't. The other time he used his martial arts was just after the Second World War. Their war survivors had been treated terribly, like losers. He was accosted. The guy wanted his purse, and Funakoshi, instead of giving him his purse, grabbed a hold of his testicles and knocked him out.
Okay.
That was the only technique he used. The only two techniques he ever used were his toes and grabbing this guy's testicles and knocked him out. And then he kept him for the police, at which time he wished he'd have just opened his wallet and gave him some money and let him go.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
What comes first, the mind or the fist?
Depends on whether you scare me or not. If you don't give me time to have my mind react, then I'm going to react, and you're going to get the fist.
Do you think that's what happened with him?
I think that may have been what happened that day, yeah. I know it's happened to me. I know hindsight, there's a few times in my life I wish I hadn't done what I did. You know, I'm not a really good guy when all that comes down to it. I've done some things I wished I hadn't. And,
For sure.
And any martial artist who went through piss and vinegar time and didn't, I'm very surprised.
I'm sitting over here identifying.
Yeah, I mean...
There's a few people that I see around once in a while that I'd like to apologize to.
You know what? And you know what? What the hell? Even if they don't accept it, do it. Do it. Go up and say, hey, you know, I realized I shouldn't have. I'm sorry.
Yeah, things that happened maybe 45 or 50 years
50
ago.
years ago. Exactly. Things that happened in our youth that...
The way you remember it, they might too, so who knows?
It's hard to say.
It's the truth.
They may. It's always good to look back so that you don't make those mistakes again.
Yeah, moving forward.
It's never good to live back. You've got to always step forward and live the next day as a new day, as a new energy.
Well, you know, comedian, there's a little off all the other guys we've been talking about, but comedian Bill Burr says if you are the same idiot you were yesterday, then
It's not working for you.
and it's not working.
Life isn't working for
Yeah, what are
you.
you doing? Yeah, you gotta. If you don't think you were an idiot yesterday, then you're the idiot today. Still,
Exactly.
you know, you gotta learn.
Yeah.
You gotta make mistakes.
And
learn.
you need to go through this life without affecting others badly. And I don't mean without affecting others, because you will, but you don't want to affect others badly. You don't want to give somebody who has a less than feeling about themselves even more of that feeling. You want to give them as much support as you can and as much energy as you can, because it all comes back to you in the end. What you give out, you get back.
Life's a reflection.
That's right. And the more strength you give others, the more strength you're giving yourself. The more energy you give to who you are inside, how you want to be, how you want to live, how you want to be, how you want to die. It's all involved. It's all very important that you live your life in that way of being so that you feel good about who you are. And if you do, then
Yeah.
life moves on a whole lot easier. It's not so tough.
Big time.
I mean, I feel badly sometimes for my son. I know he's going through it right now, and I just said to him, I said, you got to live your life as good and as much as you can, and do not reflect on my life as something that you have to live up to, because it's not. Your life is your life, and you need to make it what you want to make it. Don't try to make it what your father did. It's not right. And do as the best job you can with your life that you can. And don't, throw any blames back because they were too big a figure, or that's just not right. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
It's good advice for anyone.
Yeah. Live your life to the fullest you can. Make it the best life you got, because you've only got the one, so you best make it good. Do what you can to make it fulfilled, right?
Well, I always thought to myself, I'm pretty good, but I am no Randy Butcher.
I got a T-shirt I can say.
And I'm going to tell you this. You're not. You're Andrew Butcher. And you're good and better in some ways than he is.
I agree with that.
And
I have something to say about that.
yeah, but it's the truth. It is the truth. The truth is simple. Grow your life, spend your life, do what you want to do for you. And yes, your dad had a great life, but you don't have to live up to what your dad did. In fact, do it better than he did and make him want to live up to you.
100%.
Yeah.
He's doing it.
Yeah, and I get it. And
yeah.
that's the deal.
Fortunately for me, I've never felt that way. I never really had that. I love the guidance that I have.
Yeah.
I'm
But
happy
you never felt it looming over you like a dark shadow.
No. I mean, if I go to set to coordinate a commercial, or I'm covering him on a job, or I'm doing something, I certainly embody what I think he is.
Mm-hmm.
I step into his shoes and I try to think like him and whatever. But I find that's just learning and understanding and these kinds of things.
But you still do it your way.
I still,
He sure does.
Yeah. And that's the kicker. The kicker is to fulfill your wishes, your dreams, your moral integrity, the way you need to do it. It's not about anybody else. It's all about you inside. And what comes from that is people like the person that's understanding and loving and caring and giving
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Fishers of men, and we can all be that. And I don't mean men specifically. Fishers of human people.
Sure.
Human beings. Inuit, for all that purpose goes. That's the best term in the world. Inuit. The Inuit call themselves Inuit. What does it mean? Human being. Doesn't mean I'm something special. I'm something different. It means I'm a human being. The Inuit see a polar bear as a polar bear. They see a seal as a seal. They see a human being as a human being. He is an Inuit. We are all Inuit. It's a great way to look at life. That's, I guess the First Nations understanding is, it's in me. It's how I feel about life. It's how I feel about living.
It's nature.
Yeah. Totally.
We've lost ourselves.
We have. But it's getting to that time. And I think that people that are listening to this are very fortunate, at least I would be, if I was listening to this, to a man of your martial education, one of the highest ranking, most educated martial artists in the country, if not anywhere. What advice would you have to anybody that is thinking now about doing a martial art of any kind. I think this has been, for me at least, a very inspiring conversation.
I've learned absolutely nothing. This has been ridiculous.
He's a clown.
Yeah, so much for being
No, I love
serious.
this. No, please continue. I totally feel that. Huge.
I hear you.
You know, a lot of people are scared of walking into a karate school. They're intimidated. Whatever. You know, you have kung fu, karate, jujitsu, taekwondo. People are confused. You got any advice?
Yeah, I do. Simple. Go to every dojo in your area that you can possibly go to. And look and talk to every chief instructor there is. And just talk to them. Just see if what they say makes sense. Understand that a real martial artist is about real, so your instructor needs to be real. If you can't figure that out in a couple of words, conversation with him, then you have a bit of a problem. Because you will know almost immediately whether this person walks the walk and talks the talk, or whether he just talks the talk. You are going to know. So my advice is to make sure you go to all the clubs that interest you. Try all the classes. Make sure you try a full class from each instructor, and spend some time talking to the head instructor. If you do those things, you will probably end up in the right school for you. The other thing is, don't ever limit yourself to one thing. While I was training with Sensei Guest, I was training with Ronnie Beer, I was doing Hapkido with Chuck Platten, I was doing Jiu-Jitsu, I was doing Aikido with the local cobbler. He was a Japanese guy, and he did Aikido, and I'd train with him at noon. I mean, do not limit yourself. Your martial art experience is your martial art experience. If a teacher loses his crap because you're going someplace else to do other things, then he shouldn't even be living in Canada. This is a free country. You can go and train with anybody you want. My advice is to train with the right people. And that takes some skill of you knowing who is the right person. And the guy that's highest rank may be this or that, but if he doesn't relate to you, he's no good for you. So an instructor needs to be able to relate to you. A good instructor will relate almost immediately to you. He'll sense you coming in. He'll figure out why you're there without you even knowing it. It's like an instinct. It's like we had when we were in the doors doing door work. You have an instinct when the guy walks through the door who you're going to have to deal with that night. How many times were you wrong? Not very. Almost every time you were right on the money. This guy is going to give us trouble before the night's out. So you know. So my suggestion is know people, find out through conversation, find out through their ability. You'll see that. And go someplace where you're comfortable and happy. Who you become as a martial artist is an individual path and does not tag itself to any one art. That is total crap. The reason Ron Day and I got along so great was because neither of us cared what the other did. Mm-hmm. We just cared that we did. Period. It wasn't about, oh, you do that stupid kung fu stuff. Oh, you do that silly karate stuff. It wasn't that. It was we train, we work together, and we like real. That's the essence of martial arts. That's what everybody should be trying to find. Unfortunately, they listen to the hype and they go for the guys that can look after their kids until 6 o'clock or whatever, the babysitting services where they pick up the kids and take them to. I don't do any of that. Not that it's wrong. It just, For me, it's wrong.
It takes away from what we're really trying to accomplish.
For me, it's wrong. For me, the insurance risk of having vehicles out there with my name on it and they get into an accident with kids in the car. Are you kidding me? Like just that one thing all by itself is enough for me to say, nah, I'm not doing that.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
Come to my club, come and train.
But see, that's just another money-making venture on their part.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They make huge bucks doing it, but they're actually running an illegal childcare. Their childcare is not legal. They don't have childcare workers there, but they do look after their kids for several hours. How is it any different than childcare?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
Well, Scott, before we do close up, you need to sign the table.
Oh, yes.
With the big one.
Right here with this. And you can sign anywhere except right in the middle.
Okay.
The guy who actually came up with the idea was the very first guy on this podcast. His name's Sean Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a SWAT guy out of Toronto. He chose the middle and never even signed. He came up with the idea, and he's the only one who hasn't signed. So we left him that space.
Well, this is kind of my home, so I'm just going to put this in here. Shin, gi, tai. Scott Hogarth.
Draw a picture. You can do whatever you want.
I'll just just put that there and shingi tai. Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay.
The people on Spotify right now are wondering
they're
what's
wondering
going
what the
on.
fuck's going.
We're just watching Scott draw a picture on our table.
Donald Duck.
Oh, is it?
There you go.
Okay, you drew a picture of Donald Duck, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're in trouble with
Actually,
Disney.
it looks a bit like a sick duck, right?
He looked like he was at the same show you were at. Smoking a little of this.
That's hilarious.
Neat, eh?
Yeah, man.
That's amazing.
Shingi Tai means spirit and technique are one.
Shingi Tai.
Spirit and technique are one.
And
okay.
And this applies to anything you do in life, not just martial art, but anything you do in life. If you don't have the right spirit behind what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it.
Maybe this was why Muhammad Ali was great with technique and great with wisdom.
Spectacular. Spectacular.
Nice way to frame that.
His wisdom was pure. I have his book at home. It's my number one coffee table book. I have the one on Muhammad Ali. It sits right there. I have a poster of one of his win championships over Frazier. But he was the greatest.
Okay, now I feel like I know your answer. And again, before we go, I feel like this is a huge question that is always asked to every martial artist or boxing fan or whoever it might be. Ali and Tyson, top of their games.
Not a hope for Tyson.
Wins? Copy. Okay.
Not a hope for Tyson. Like, Tyson's okay, but he's just not the smart fighter Ali was at his prime. At Ali's prime, he never got hit. Ali could literally stand in the corner and bop and weave, and the guys couldn't hit him. If you can't be hit, you're going to win. You're going to win. Like when I was working with Sensei Kubota, one of the things was him whacking me with a shinai. And he just kept coming at me, whacking me with this bloody shinai. And eventually I learned how not to get whacked with the bloody shinai.
And for those listening, the shinai is a bamboo sword.
Yeah, and it hurts. It's especially when they tighten it down so it's a stick. I mean, it feels like you're being beaten with a club, but you learn how to get out of there, right? Yeah. So that's the biggest thing is not to be hit.
Okay.
Very
Wicked.
cool. Very cool.
That's awesome.
I'll close
Scott,
it out. Yeah.
thanks for coming.
Randy, can't tell you how happy I am to be here. Andrew, it's a blast. Like I said, I think of you wonderfully. Every time I think of the two of you, I smile.
Love it. Thank you,
I
Scott.
smile. The best weapon you got in life is
A
that
smile.
smile. I said that on the last.
Yes, you did. I
last joke,
remember.
and it's the truth. It's the truth. You can quell somebody so easily with a good smile. One from your heart, one that means something, like you used to do. When you come to the dojo and you'd finish the night, you'd leave and you'd have a great big smile on your face. It was that smile that kept me coming back to teach you. It wasn't anything else. It was that smile.
Well, I truly enjoyed my time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Well, we got something we'll always remember, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thank you for everything.
Oh, you're very welcome. And Randy, what can I say to you except thank you?
Oh, thank you.
There's a world. It's Taihan arigato gozarimashita. Taihan gozarimashita is the largest of thank yous. There is no bigger thank you can give anybody. It's almost like you saved my life, but you helped me in my life. So Taihan arigato gozarimashita.
Wow, Jesus.
All I can say is ditto. Thank you, Scott.
Cheers, Scott. Thank
Welcome,
you.
brother.
Love
Got
it.
it, Diana.
Man.